Let's bring out the guy you've been waiting for. Professionally, didn't you hear that kind of adoration from you people? All right, Las Vegas, enjoy yourself. Away from his crotch, Rob. Rob, away from his crotch. Well, I think we started that off on the right foot. The last episode, Richard, you directed was the Imaginary Friends episode, right? Have you already left? You know better than him anyway. My daughter has some imaginary friends, one of whose name is Bobby. Bobby is a girl. And she said to me, I've told this story before, so plug your ears since you've already heard it. Dad, yeah, Lisa. Bobby said a bad word. Oh, really? What did she say? Bobby said fuck. So I choked her and I killed her. And as a parent, those moments make you feel proud because you know you're doing something right. You're teaching her to swear, and you're teaching her to hurt people. How is everyone? I'm a tiny bit under the weather, so if I'm a little bit slower and less interesting, even less interesting than usual, you'll have to forgive me. Yeah. See, that's all I needed, was a little sympathy, thank you. How many of you guys are here for the first time? This has got to be the highest concentration of virgins in Vegas ever. And how many of you live like close by, like in Vegas or basically? So how many don't? So people are coming here as a destination event. You're coming here to do the convention and then make money at the tables as well, right? So, what? No? That's very unusual. What happened? I did some gambling. Last night, I played a little bit of blackjack. Thank you. I made $5.
Some big money.
I'm pretty sure it was a high roller table. I'm pretty sure it was. Yeah, $5. So, thank you. Do you guys have any questions? There's some people standing in a queue on either side. Do you guys have questions or comments or criticisms?
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, how are you doing?
Good, thank you. Well, okay. If I'm being honest.
It's actually hard to hear you from up here.
It's hard to hear?
It's echoing.
Is that better?
No.
Can you hear me now?
Good.
It's better.
Okay. Oh, there's kind of reverb.
What?
I like that. It's very rock and roll.
I was just going to tell you how much I enjoyed the poetry you've been posting on Snapchat.
Nobody can say I don't know how to use Snapchat.
It's kind of the highlight of my day when I get off work, and I was just curious curious how you're picking what you read and
How I'm picking?
how are you picking the poems?
Well, it's a very sophisticated process of trying to find anything that can be squeezed into 10 seconds. There's not that many poems that are that short, as it turns out. I guess I'm going for things that have some sort of resonant relevance in some way, in my mind. Are you a poet? A reader of poetry?
A reader of poetry.
A reader of things? Somebody who's literate?
I like to read when I can.
Yeah.
Yeah. Two little kids, you know how it is.
I do, yeah. Reading with children is, actually I'm finding that reading with my kids is actually getting me to read more, because we go through some longer form books, and you can actually plow through a book, even reading them aloud to 4 and 6-year-olds. You can read books that are kind of interesting. We're reading a lot of astronomy books. My 4-year-old hates the astronomy stuff, but I do it anyway because it makes her fall asleep almost immediately. And my 6-year-old loves it. And we also are reading the Wonder. Have you? Yeah. There's like there's a trilogy of Wonder books that we're going through now for the second time because my son just loves those books so much, which is very sweet. And those are kind of sophisticated. Like that's a book that older people might read.
We're actually reading that one right now.
It's pretty great. I recommend it. If you have any kind of sense of humanity in you, you might like the book Wonder, which is part of the trilogy. Yeah, I like it. And also, it's good practice just reading aloud because you can work on your accents. And I have this weird relationship with my kids and reading books at night, which is that they want me to do accents, but they really don't want me to do certain accents. And so it's almost like flipping through the dial on the FM radio, where they're like, no, Dad, don't do it with that accent. No, don't do it with that accent. Yeah, we like that weird Indian, Russian accent. So that's fun for me as well. But you didn't ask about that. I told you anyway. So. I guess that second half of my answer was just a freebie.
I'll only do accents with my kids and not with others.
You do accents with your kids?
Only with them.
You only do accents with your children?
Yeah, because I can't.
What about with us? Would you do one with us?
No,
Yeah?
they're 3 and 6. I'm not very good at that. These people, no way.
Come on. Let's hear your India, Russia accent.
Yes.
My accents usually happen on accident.
Accidental accents? I think we might be speaking at cross purposes here. You're talking about accidents, and I'm talking about accents. All right, you're off the hook.
Thank you.
Hey, if you were given the opportunity to revive any angel on Supernatural, who would it be and why?
Well, not Gabriel, because the actor who portrayed him tried to get me killed.
Balthazar.
Oh, yeah, Balthazar.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, we got it.
What is your all-time favorite song to dance to? Not sing, but like dance.
That's a great question. Probably like some Bruno Mars song, or, right? Uptown Funk. Or that. I like funk because I feel like there's something about funk that gives you license to be ridiculous. And I show you. very much. What's your favorite song to dance? Do you have one?
Get Low by Misha.
And do you actually get low? Yeah, that sounds fun. Like limbo or squatting? What do you do?
Squatting.
Hi.
Hi. So I'm kind of new to Gishwas, and I was kind of curious what your most memorable entry has been.
You're new, have you done it before, or you're planning to do it, or?
I did it last summer for the first time.
How was it for you?
Interesting.
Uh-huh.
I got to see a lot of...
That's a great word, because it's something that people can say about something that they hated. It was interesting.
It's a good experience.
Are you going to do it again? Yeah, I thought so. What was your most memorable item? By which I mean least favorite.
I know there was one that I wanted to do, but I couldn't because I had to travel for it, which was one of the ones that was in San Francisco, I believe, in Golden Gate Park.
Woo!
But I
Artie was
north of
there.
there, so.
I guess, I think that for me there's a bunch of different categories of things that I loved in Gishwas. I like the items that are kind of epic. I really loved, we had a fully decorated, it was I think maybe the first year, fully decorated Christmas tree floating in the air and with helium balloons. And I liked that item because
But I haven't asked you one yet.
okay.
This is new too.
Okay, so this is pretty special.
Yes.
Who did you ask questions of already?
Oh, well.
Yeah, they're hard to remember, I know. Yeah, no, I get that with them a lot. You know, it probably, what's his name? Did you do that? What's his face?
Let's see, I did ask.
The little one?
Brianna.
Oh, yes! And did they give you a good answer?
Yeah, fairly good.
Okay, yeah.
I asked Julian too.
Oh, really? Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, well, there's some competition in the room, it sounds like. Would you like to ask me a question?
I would.
Okay, let's do that then.
So I roleplay characters on Facebook, and my main character is Hale from season 9. And so my question is, if she were
Yeah.
would Cass be able to forgive her, and what would he say?
Let me think about that for a second.
Oh, his hands. He's gonna ask. Who's Hale? He doesn't know who Hale is.
Yeah.
Grand Canyon.
So what were we talking about? So what about Hale? I love Hale.
You do? She tried to kidnap you.
Yeah, that's what I meant. I don't like her. So yeah, Hale's the character of Hale, right?
Yes.
Not the actor?
Not the
Yeah. The character of Hale and Castiel have a very long story. Bad history, where because of the past events and all that, things didn't go well, and therefore, when she left me in the grass, yes, he could. I always wonder why nobody asked that question. Thank you.
Oh my God.
Hi.
Hi. Most people run and hide from the paparazzi, but in your photos, you smile and wave. Do they get you on a good day?
So, here's the deal with paparazzi. Like when you're coming out of when you're landing at Vancouver Airport or something like that, there's always paparazzi there, and it's always, and if you're paparazzi, I apologize for saying this, it's always totally annoying. And so there's like a little side back entrance that or exit you can go through, like sort of sneak around, which I always try to do, and I always like put my head down, I walk through like this. And then they catch me anyway. And then once they catch you, you're like, all right, game on. And then you pretend that you're happy to see them. So that's my cycle, my emotional cycle. But yeah, no, I'm skulking around, trying not to be seen. And then, but the other thing about it is it also serves this interesting dual function of making you feel important, which is kind of great. You know, there's people like, you kind of look around at the airport and like, fellow passengers like, oh, this guy's like, they're asking for his autograph and taking a picture. I should have tried to talk to him. No, I don't get it. You should have tried to talk to him. Suck it.
Yeah!
Hello.
I need to work on impulse control.
Say it ain't so.
Hi.
Hi. I'm from Vancouver,
Oh, I've heard of that.
where I hear it's still got snow. So I'm so glad to be here in the desert, you know, where it's raining.
Yeah.
And I was wondering if there was anything in particular that you enjoy about filming in the greater Vancouver area, as opposed to other locations in which you worked.
Well, Vancouver is, I mean, it's great. There are certain things that are lovely about Vancouver. The scenery, the people, the poutine.
Yes.
And then there's certain things that are really blow, like in the summer sometimes we'll be shooting like in July maybe, and the writers will write a scene that's like night exterior. But in order for you to shoot a scene that's night exterior in early July in Vancouver, you have to stay up until 5 o'clock in the morning because you know, the sun doesn't even, you know, it doesn't get dark really until like 10. So that can be challenging, and you know, and likewise in the winter the days are very short, so there's like this weird sort of cycle of the seasons that you have to work with at such northern climes. But it's great, but it's nuts right now in Vancouver because there's so many different productions that are shooting up there. Like every TV show ever made is now even getting remade in Vancouver. Like there are, I think there's like 45 shows shooting in Vancouver, and it was just, I want to say 5 years ago, we had 3 shows shooting in Vancouver. So there's been this explosion, and they're desperately trying to keep up with demand, but you can't get film crews anymore in Vancouver because everybody who has ever set foot on a set is employed as a department head now. Like they have completely run out of people. There was a point when we had somebody on working as the onset, because our regular onset carpenter was out. I think I don't know if he was on vacation or what, or sick or something, but when somebody had to fill in for him, and we had a guy who had never been on a set before, working as the onset carpenter, and I started talking to him and discovered he was also not the carpenter. It's really kind of incredible. So if you're looking for employment opportunities,
Duly noted.
yeah, and there are studios that are being used now in Vancouver. So studio space is also completely scarce. So they are like using old decommissioned peanut factories as film studios and stuff like that.
Well, they call it Hollywood North for a reason.
That's true. It's because it's north of Hollywood. Hi.
Hi. So you are very passionate about your work, your art, your causes, the world. So what do you do to take care of yourself so that you can continue to give so much of yourself to others?
Well, thank you for saying that. I don't feel like I give a disproportionate amount of myself to others. I am trying to do a little bit less. I think I got a little bit overworked recently, but I'm trying to spend more time with my kids, and that's good. I like that. We have fun. We make messes. I try to meditate. I'm also trying to sleep more. These are my very cutting edge experimental techniques. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hi.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So, being quote-unquote Supreme Overlord, we appreciate you using your powers for good. Is there anything that you wish you could do that you aren't currently doing?
This just causes me to reflect a little bit. Like, the things that you offhandedly say on Twitter can have real, lasting implications. It's something that I think I certainly have learned valuable lessons about. I hope that our leaders also. I remember I was just getting on Twitter, and Twitter was new, and I was definitely not hip to social media, but having some fun, and I was tweeting. I remember it was I was up in Washington State. I think we were at like a friend's wedding in this rundown old B&B that barely had wireless connection. I was managing to tweet late at night, and I said something like, "Oh, I don't like this term, followers. Like, you're my followers. I'll call you something more fitting, like minions." And it stopped. And then somebody said something, "Oh, what should we call you?" And I said something to the effect of, "You can call me, the babysitter or Supreme Overlord." These kind of creepy things, megalomaniacal things, and unfortunately that stuff as well. So it's a cautionary tale more than anything. But you got a question, which I didn't address, and now I completely forgot it.
It's okay. I asked,
You forgot it. Makes me feel better. Did you actually forget? Yeah, me too.
what do you wish that you could be doing that you aren't currently doing, aside from like obvious sleeping and etc.?
Well, I don't know if I can talk about that in front of all these people. And this just turns into me standing up here telling a fictional erotic story. And ticket sales for next year's convention spike. I've been there, like, do more of that porn stuff? I'm not really good at that. I don't know. I guess more. I would like to do. I'm finding that I spend a lot of time on email, so I would like to be doing less email and more interesting, creative stuff, and maybe more like messing around. I was just yesterday. For some reason, it came up. Somebody brought up like charlatan or something like that, which I sort of fancy myself. And you guys know what a snake oil salesman is?
Yes.
A lot of people don't know what a snake oil salesman is, I've found out. But I made a couple of years ago a video that was me selling, it was like an infomercial selling snake oil. And I want to do more stuff like that. Like that was to me pure joy. So I'd like to do a little bit more of that kind of stuff. I'd also like to do more like disruptive, or not necessarily disruptive, but productive political work, like that actually gets people mobilized and doing good things and actually bridging. I really don't like the current state of discourse in our country. I don't like that people are sort of picking sides and finding themselves on one team or another. And I think that there's so many unifying themes that we can all agree on, that we should be focusing on those things and setting aside the stuff that divides us. So I'd like to do more of that kind of stuff. Yeah, right. That doesn't sound like fun.
One hell of a campaign.
My campaign would be immediately derailed by witness exhibit. Look at this. Look at these horrific photos. Look at this poor young man covered head to toe in hot hair. What kind of a sick motherfucker? Hi.
Hello, Misha. So, over the years, you've been known to sport some interesting outfits. And so my question for you...
Also, campaign over.
So my question for you is, who are you wearing right now, and where do you get your clothing from?
Oh, who am I wearing? I thought you were referring to me like wearing a bridal gown. You were, right? Who am I wearing? Creepy question. I do not make my clothing from human skin. Send me an invitation. But if you must ask, it's on Myrtle. She passed away of natural causes. We have a ritual in my family where we tan the hides of our deceased. And then make them into blazers.
Stop it.
I don't know. I'm wearing orange underwear.
Yeah!
Thank you for your insightful question. If you must really know, it's all Ivanka Trump's.
Oh!
Hi, I'm a first-year directing student, and I was wondering, as an actor and a director, what can a director ask you to do or do to get your respect?
Well, one thing that's helpful.
It's not to kill them.
If a director, like if a new director comes on set, and because there's always this moment where you're sort of establishing the dynamic, and I think it's good for a director to come on and sort of take control and say something like, you know, lick my shoe. Because, you know, you immediately establish that you're in a dominant position. I hope that's helpful. Yeah.
That's why he directed once.
You get your first break, and you're on a professional set. Just go in and be like, guys, lick my shoe. That probably wouldn't work as well as you think. You might get a pie to the face, yeah. There are things you can ask. I like the notion of like, what can you ask an actor to do? Conjures up all kinds of weird casting couch. I think that there's an interesting In television, it's different from theater. So in theater, there's this very protracted rehearsal period where you work on the material in great detail with the actors. And that is true also of bigger budget films and some other instances. But in television, it has to move so quickly that we don't have the luxury of a lot of back and forth. We also don't have the luxury of a lot of extra takes even. We have to kind of get it pretty quickly. So for directors, the most important thing in television is getting the casting right, getting people who can play the roles well, and letting them kind of do their job well. So more seasoned directors tend to kind of trust their actors and don't try to tinker with them too much. On Supernatural, that's our experience. However, good directors also know when to push back when something isn't quite working. And then there's directors who will at times try to run you over.
No, we're doing He's not over that. He's never going to be over that.
So, yeah, I don't know. There's a range there of kind of how much you can ask actors to do. At a certain point, also you have to be really careful with actors because if you give them too much direction, we freak out. We start to get really self-conscious and start screwing up. So
It's like the kids, kind of.
yeah, it's like the kids or any human. So you have to be very delicate in your direction and give. And here's another thing that people screw up: they will give too many pieces. Like in the beginning of that scene, try to be more forceful with that first line, and then in the middle, what would be great is if you turned away on that line about the doorknob, and then at the very end, I want you to just try it with a smile and a cackle. And if you give like 3 different directions to an actor for one scene, they won't remember them, and they'll start short-circuiting. Because you have to remember, actors are some of the least intelligent people in the world. So you have to spoon-feed them a little bit of direction at a time, and you have to calibrate it carefully to make sure that they can process it and speak in simple terms.
You can find that sweet spot.
Yeah, exactly. I hope this has been as helpful for you as it was for me. Okay, good.
Hi, Misha.
How are you?
I have a question for you. I was wondering.
Oh, well, this is a perfect venue for this.
Obviously. I was wondering what band or musician, dead or alive, you would want to perform with.
I think the band. I don't know if you know the band, but they played with Dylan and were kind of amazing. The Wait, there's some great songs. Actually, these guys do some of their songs from time to time. Yeah. Okay, it's a short answer, but truthful for a change.
For truthful for change.
Hi.
I was wondering if there were a movie made based on your life, who would you choose from the cast of Supernatural to portray you?
Probably Ruth. Aren't you glad you waited in line?
Hi. So, I have a question, obviously. So, I thought you did a really fantastic job in the episode, not this last one, but the one before.
Not so good in the last one.
In the scene where you're talking to the boys and you say them, you do that big emotional dialogue. I just wondered how it was like doing such an emotional scene for you with those guys.
Yeah, it's tricky. You mean pretending that I like them? It really stretches you as an actor to do something like that. that was an interesting, very interesting scene actually to do, because I actually worked on that a little bit and felt like there was some real emotional resonance to it. But then that night just dragged. It was like a cold, wet night. We were out of time. We had no time, so we were just flying through like one take on each setup, and we were coming up against it. The sun was about to rise, so we just had no time. And I was so tired that what you're seeing on my face in that scene is just, I want to go home. Which I think came across, it worked in that scene. So, yeah, that was one of those, like, every year there's a few nights that stand out in your head, like, God, that was awful. That was one of them. Yeah. Thanks for bringing up that memory.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hi.
Hi, hello. How are you?
Well, thanks.
Love you.
My status hasn't changed that much. How are you?
I'm doing a little better now. I'm a supernatural baby, so if my facts are a little off, I'm sorry.
Wait, you're the biggest baby I've ever seen.
I didn't start watching out till like a year and a half ago.
How are you all the way through?
Yes.
Really? How long did it take you to binge watch?
My husband and I, before you guys could let ourselves up in a hotel room for 72 hours and binge watched 5 seasons. We didn't even get out of bed. All we did was go to room service. And I'm a conversion.
Wow. So did you go like right directly from the hotel room to like a psychologist's office? That sounds like a form of torture, what you just described. 72 hours straight? 5 seasons?
Yes.
That's 100 hours of television. That actually rewires the circuitry in your brain and turns you into a sociopath. You know that, right?
I learned from you.
Out!
That's not my question.
Hard truths. Yeah. Well, it's good to hear it from someone, other than my coworkers.
My question is,
How you get Supernatural out of your head after watching it for 72 hours straight. Okay.
I love all the work.
What was your sleep cycle in that? Would you doze off and then wake up again?
No, I don't think we actually slept till we returned home. I can't remember even an hour.
Just look at this.
Okay, this is not a healthy thing.
And we weren't doing anything except watching Supernatural. And we were very good.
Okay, that's starting to sound like a very, very harmful drug.
It's very exciting.
I think that we might be doing something bad here, guys.
I don't know, dude. I don't know how hyper-violent, Satan-centric show would be doing anything bad.
Good one. Yeah. What's your question?
I love all the work that you've done with Gish Wish and random acts. And when, because of starting the show and everything, y'all started Always Keep Fighting. Was very one of the main motivations that y'all started to do that help sources for people that have mental health illnesses and disorders. And are y'all going to expand that to help families that are in the military, especially Gold Star families like me and soldiers that have PTSD?
That's an awesome question. So let me just make sure I understand. So you're asking like the crisis support hotline that we're doing? Is that what you're talking about?
Say that one more time.
The crisis support hotline that we're doing? Are you talking about, are we expanding services there to include PTSD? Or are you talking about just...
Were you doing it before, and are you going to expand it out?
I think The answer to that is yes, we are trying to do so. So right now, the mental health stuff that we're doing is essentially, it's in beta, so we're expanding slowly so that we can have enough capacity. We have to train people. We had like 11,000 people apply to help on the crisis support hotline, and those people all need to be vetted. Only a fraction of them will make it through that vetting process, and then those people have to be trained, and supervisors have to be trained. It's kind of like a big operation. So we're trying to expand into anti-bullying, and we can talk. We're talking to Case Masterson and her organization. It's something that I didn't have a lot of experience with, like online bullying. Didn't exist when I was a kid because online didn't exist. But there was obviously bullying. But I think it was a little bit harder to do because you had to get out of your house and go to the schoolyard and bully somebody in person. But now it's super easy. You can just conveniently log on and be a jerk. So it's actually a much bigger problem than people like me who aren't really dialing into what's going on in the social media universe understand. It's actually a really big deal. Like kids in school are being kind of tortured online, and it's a big deal. So we're trying to incorporate some of that, and I will talk to Random Acts about veterans and PTSD stuff and get a better answer for you because I don't know where we are with that at the moment.
Yeah, was Jared your motivation, or were you doing something before?
Jared, I think Jared tapped into something that was there, and there was support for those campaigns that he was doing. So I think that his initiating that opened, I think, our eyes to how much need there was for that. And then he collaborated with us in setting that thing up in the first place. And it feels weird, a little bit weird to say something positive about Jared, but there's always going to be those fluke things.
Thank you so much.
Well done, sir. Do your good work. If only you could bring that great work to the screen. I'm kidding, you're fabulous. Ladies and gentlemen, I almost killed him. Rob Benedict is wearing an I Heart Cock shirt.